So you've probably heard about the European Union's landmark AI Act. It's this massive piece of legislation that's all about making artificial intelligence safe and trustworthy. But buried deep inside that law is a single rule, Article 45, that kind of acts as the central nervous system for the whole thing. So today, let's pull back the curtain on this one powerful rule and see how it's designed to hold the entire system together. Right, so here's the fundamental challenge the EU is looking at. You've got 27 member states, and they all have their own agencies, their own ways of doing things. So how do you possibly create one single high standard for AI safety? How do you stop companies from, shopping around for the easiest country to get their high-risk AI approved in? So, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down for you. We'll kick things off with the trust problem, then we'll introduce you to the key players, the gatekeepers. After that, we'll dive into the rulebook that actually makes them talk to each other. We'll cover why the system is so important, the delicate tightrope it has to walk, and finally, what it all really adds up to. Okay, first up, the whole problem of trust and consistency. See, without a unified system, you get something called market fragmentation. That basically means you'd have different rules, different standards all over the place, and that could lead to a race to the bottom where safety gets pushed aside. The AI Act is specifically designed to stop that from ever happening. This right here gets to the heart of the law's philosophy. It treats AI safety not as some local issue, but as a collective responsibility. It's basically saying this has to be a coordinated EU-wide team effort to make sure a high-risk AI system that's approved in one country is genuinely safe enough for all of them. So who actually does all this work? Well, this is where the key players in the system come into the picture. They're called notified bodies. The easiest way to think of them is as the expert referees for high-risk AI. So a notified body is an independent, expert organization, and its one job is to put high-risk AI systems through the ringer to assess them against the AI Act's rules. If a system passes, it gets the certificate. If it fails, it's back to the drawing board for the developer. They are the official gatekeepers of the AI market. Simple as that. And as you can see here, becoming a notified body isn't something you can just sign up for. No way. It's a really tough, multi-layered process. It involves intense scrutiny from national authorities, from the European Commission, and even from other EU countries to make absolutely sure these organizations are competent, independent, and completely impartial. And this brings us right to the heart of our explainer, Article 45. This is the rulebook. It's the set of instructions that forces these expert gatekeepers to communicate, making sure they don't all operate in their own little isolated bubbles. So, what's really crucial here is that Article 45 sets up two main communication highways. First, there's the vertical one. They have to report everything up to their national authority, every certificate they issue, refuse, or pull. But then there's the horizontal one. They have to talk to each other. They are required to warn other notified bodies about systems that failed the test, and they can ask for info on systems that passed to learn from those successes. This chart really clarifies the priority of the system. Just look at the emphasis on proactive sharing for negative results. The system is literally hardwired to spread bad news, and fast. So imagine a high-risk AI for medical scans gets rejected in Germany because it shows a dangerous bias. Well, because of this rule, the notified body over in Poland gets an immediate warning, preventing that same flawed system from being approved and used on patients there. That's the real power of this design. Okay, so we've seen what the rulebook says they have to do. But why? Why go to all this trouble? Let's take a look at the big strategic goals behind this mandatory communication network. It all comes back to this number, 27 countries, but one single market. Article 45 is the engine that's designed to harmonize all the standards to make sure that an AI system faces the exact same high bar for safety and trust, whether it's being checked out in Lisbon, Warsaw, or Stockholm. And the benefits of doing this are huge. For starters, this system stops the market from shattering into 27 little pieces. It creates a fair, level playing field for all AI companies. It shifts regulation from being reactive, fixing problems after they happen, to being proactive, just like in our medical AI example. And maybe most importantly, it builds a collective intelligence, a shared brain that gets smarter about AI risks with every single assessment. Of course, building the system isn't simple. Nothing ever is, right? It creates this major tension that the law has to manage very, very carefully. The need for transparency versus the need to protect secrets. So on one hand, the whole system is built on being transparent, sharing information about risks is absolutely essential for protecting the public and making sure the system is accountable. But then, on the other hand, you can't just share everything. Companies have legitimate secrets, intellectual property that they need to protect. And this isn't some accident or an oversight, it's a core design principle. The law itself acknowledges that finding this balance is absolutely crucial. Without it, companies just wouldn't trust the process, and that whole collaborative environment would completely fall apart. So here's the conflict laid bare. You've got the public's right to know about risks to their safety and their fundamental rights. But you also have AI providers who have a right to protect their intellectual property and trade secrets, the very stuff that drives innovation. And another part of the Act, Article 78, is what sets the specific rules for confidentiality to make sure this information sharing happens responsibly. So when you put all of these pieces together, what have you actually built? This brings us to the big picture, the ultimate vision of what Article 45 really creates. The best way to think about it is as a networked human brain. It's not software, it's not some new algorithm, it's a system of interconnected human experts, those notified bodies, who are legally required to share their knowledge. This creates a living, learning, collective intelligence that is dedicated to understanding and governing AI risk. All right, so let's just quickly recap the most important points. Notified bodies are the expert referees. Article 45 is their communication rulebook. The big goal here is a single, safe AI market for everyone. The system has to carefully balance being open with being confidential, and its true power? It turns 27 separate regulators into one single, collaborative, intelligent network. Which leaves us with one final and kind of provocative thought. The EU is betting on a connected network of human experts to safely govern the future of AI. So the big question we're left with is this. Is a human network, no matter how smart or how connected it is, ultimately up to the task of governing a technology that could one day surpass our own intelligence?